need to go into mental hospital. Oh my goodness. We were willing to try anything. We were willing to try anything, go anywhere. If they told us, go to Australia, fly to Australia, and you're going to be cured, we would have gone. My husband was willing to do anything, and we're willing to pay anything, honestly, right? Whatever religion we are, right? I leaned on my faith since I'm a Christian, and that's what we're taught to do, right? In these tough times, I really, really leaned on God during this time because it was becoming very dark for me. Hadn't been that dark ever. I never thought I would ever be such a dark situation. It was during this time that I was closer to God, and during this time I stopped working. I couldn't work. I needed to stop working and have the time to like fix my sleep, fix my sleep. That's what I thought. I'm gonna just focus on that because the sleep was causing me to have so much anxiety and so much depression, and then it just turned very, very, very scary and very dark for me. So grateful for your teachings, and can't thank you enough. You have all this free content. Without the bedtime app or anything, people can recover just from watching your channels, your YouTube. It's wonderful. That's basically how the turning point happened for me, and it was like little by little. And then I remember telling Alec while I was working, I still had her on the bedtime app. And I said, I'm working again. And she's like, wow, that's wonderful. And this and that. I was like, yes. I told her, hopefully I'll be able to be on one of the testimonies to help someone. I kind of pay it forward, in some sense. I'm here now, and I'm just so, so grateful. So grateful for your teaching. So grateful for your content. It's just wonderful. So thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to yet another really special Talking Insomnia episode. We have Priscilla with us. Welcome.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Daniel.
So nice to see you as well. And for our audience, I'll just share that you actually sent an email just saying like, hey, I wouldn't mind being a guest. And I was like so grateful because, stories of hope and inspiration are so valuable. And you had been a bedtime client, by the way. We'll talk about that as well. But that's the backstory. And with that said, tell us in yours, Priscilla, how did you start having trouble sleeping?
Well, it started back in 2019. I guess I was like my first little insomnia episode, I guess you can say. It wasn't the worst, but the worst was to come later on. But that was like the first time that I've ever experienced any kind of insomnia. So during that time in 2019, to be exact, it was in the month of October. We were living, my husband and I and my son were living in the Washington, D.C. area at that time. So I'm originally from Texas. I got married, and my husband and I ended up in DC because of his work, and we made our life there. We made our marriage life over there. While we had our son over there. I loved it over there. It was something new to me. I had never lived outside of Texas, right? So it was an exciting time of my life. We were there for 8 years. And we always wanted to eventually return back to Texas because all of our family is here in Texas. But it wasn't the time, I guess, um, so fast forward, right, 2019, which is when this started, October 2019. Um, my husband got a offer, within his same company to move back to Texas, right? So this is something, that we always wanted. Eventually 8 years, right, passed, and it's like, well, it's here, right? They're offering me this opportunity. So, but the only thing is that it wasn't the city that I'm from, right? It was 3 hours away, which is Houston. I visited Houston, when I lived in Texas, and I never liked it. It was just a big city. It was just too big. I don't like big cities, and I was like, well, never lived there, and I really didn't want to, but I was kind of like, okay, well, we'll be closer. We're a 3-hour drive from where I'm originally from. My family's closer. We're getting closer little by little, right? So I said, well, these opportunities do not come all the time. And it was one of those, it wasn't like a yes automatically. It was like, because again, it was another city. And so I finally gave in, I said, okay, fine, and then my husband tells me, They want me there in a month, so it's like, and again, we're all the way over there in DC. I was like, in a month? Oh my gosh. So that's where it started. I think it was like the stress, so much stress. I was working at that time. We were settled. So my son was, at that time, he was about 5 years old. Uh, and I said, well, that's a big thing to do. We had to sell our home. We had a home and we had to pack our stuff, and it was like, how do we get our things over there, in a month? I leave my job. I loved my job. And I said, I think it was just all of too much going on in such a short time, so much stress. And that's when I started, my first experience with insomnia. So I noticed that during that month, I guess I had a lot of sleep disruption first, right? And then there were some nights where I wouldn't sleep, but I didn't really freak out. It was just, but I noticed that my stress level were very high. Um, I started to feel anxiety for the first time, like of panic attacks, those kind of things that I was not aware of. What was this? What was I feeling? What was this? I did not know at that time. I really didn't know what anxiety was, depression, insomnia. I just, you hear the words, but you don't really I- you just don't know exactly the full extent of what that is. You just think, my anxiety is just a little bit worriness, or insomnia is just, you can't, because I never had problems with sleep. So anxiousness as well was just, I'm like, so once you experience it for yourself, you're just like, oh my gosh. But again, I didn't connect the dots because I didn't know what was I feeling. I just knew I felt different. So I started with a lot of a panic, a lot of anxiety, of course, and not sleeping, a couple of days, but I did not freak out. I think that's why it didn't turn into insomnia. I guess it was more of sleep disruptions now that I think about it, and again, it was something new for me. So after that month passed, we were on our way. We had to drive our cars down. We had three vehicles at that time. My husband drove one, I drove one, and we had a friend fly up there to help us drive the other one, So um, I remember on the way driving, it was such a long drive, it's 30 something hours. So uh, again, I started panic. It was just a lot of panic first, a lot of panic attacks. And I hated the feeling that I would just cry. I remember I would just like, oh, what is it? And cry and cry and cry. And, it was just, again, something new to me. Right. So, by the time we got to Houston, I was a mess, I was a mess. And that's when my anxiety began. My depression, the anxiety turned into a depression. And as soon as I got to Houston, my anxiety was so bad that I said, there I am. I was like, I'm going to go fix it. What's going on? What's wrong with me? Of course, now I know everything that you teach, right? But at that time, you don't know. So, I need to go fix this. I need to go look for a doctor. And of course, I think most of us, that's what we do, because I mean, that's what we're taught, to seek help, seek help. So I went to a doctor there. I didn't have my doctor, so I just, Googled one, because I was new to the city. And they gave me, of course, I was a mess. Like I said, I had so much anxiety. I had so much, I was crying a lot. So I was depressed, and um, the doctor told me, of course, antidepressants, right? That's what they do, and that's what they give you. So, and if you don't know anything better, or this teaching, you believe the doctor, right? That you want help, you're looking for that help. So I went down that rabbit hole with medications, right? So there I go, taking, I don't know, I can't even recall anymore. So many Zoloft, Wellbutrin, I think I tried maybe 8, 9 different ones. And it was like back to back. Like first one, if I'm not mistaken, it was Zoloft. And then, they say, give it time to work, right? And it wasn't working, right? So a month after a month, it's like, this is not working, I'm still feeling horrible. And then, okay, try this one now. And then it was like, I don't know, Lexapro. And then try this one, it's not working, another. And it was like 6 7 back to back. It wasn't like, just wait, no, it was like, okay, this one doesn't work, and then another one, and then another one. And it was just messing with my mind, and it was just, I think by that time, I just felt so, I even felt like I felt like I'm going crazy or something. But and I contributed it to my depression and my anxiety. It exists, but now I know it was the medications, because some of these medications make you worse, you know. Um,
And
and
sorry to interrupt,
yes.
Priscilla, but at this point, uh, is it kind of like, is one thing more concerning to you than the other, like the anxiety, the depression, or the insomnia, or is it like you're kind of dealing with everything at the same time?
No, so the insomnia, it wasn't too bad yet. I was still able to sleep, and I think that was my first even sleep disruption, because I mean, before this, again, I never, I was a great sleeper. I would just, man, just sleep. I mean, I did have, like, during college, I did have those, late night studies, and, waking up early and work, all that, which is normal. I mean, I had a son, the waking up every 2 3, insomnia, it just, I guess it was more sleep disruption, right? So my concern was, at that time, was more the anxiety and the depression. Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
very much so. And it was getting worse because of the medications, which, again, now I know, but at that time I thought it was, my anxiety is just getting worse, my depression is just getting worse, and it was just like a rabbit hole, just further and further and further, just going down that rabbit hole, thinking, I always thought, this, my depression is just so bad, my anxiety is, oh my, and again, I was just seeking, I kept going back to the doctor, and like this, and then they were just changing me every month, and I, like I said, I tried about 8 or 9 back to back.
And what were your days like here? Like, did you have things? You had children, so you had some obligations there. But so, yeah, what were your days like?
Well, I have a son at that time, like I said, he was 5, right? And we had taken him out of kindergarten. He was in kindergarten over there in DC area. We took him out because it was October. He had just started. He was only there 2 months, and then we got him out. And I was basically, since I wasn't working, because I left my job, and and I came to Houston this way. I was like, that never even crossed my mind to even look for work. I was barely able to function. So we were renting a place as well, and during that time, my husband was straight to work, um, and my days consisted of, I would homeschool my son at that time. I would kind of, the best that I could, right, with the situation that I was going through. It wasn't like a formal teaching, it was just more like workbooks, and I wanted him to at least have a little bit of work to do, until we found a place, and then I could put him in the school that was, that was to that place that we were at, or the area. So the days consisted of that, and then the days consisted of when my husband would come out of work, we would go look at homes. Because we wanted to get into a home quickly, and so it was, and I even that was just like, I did not enjoy it. It was, I was crying. It was anxious everywhere. It was just, like I said, it was so new to me. And I think if anyone that's hearing this, some of them, understand this. They're like, you just want to know what's going on. What is it? Why am I feeling this way? Um, so again, back with the doctors, this went on for a couple of months, and then I during these months, I remember switching doctors. So after the doctor, I said, well, maybe he doesn't know, and I'm still very bad, so I need a psychiatrist. I thought psychiatrists must know more about these medications, about anxiety, about depression, because that's what they study, right? This is me, right, thinking that way. I've never been to a psychiatrist before, so I just Googled, one there, in Houston, and I went by the reviews. So, and then there I go again, right? Thinking that I just need this to be gone, right? So, they go, they're trying me all these different meds again, right? Some of them they repeated because they said you weren't on them long enough. So it's like, well, and at this point I just felt like, it kind of was like, felt like a guinea pig in a way, like, but I trusted them, and again, I don't think they meant to do it in a harmful way. I think so many doctors are just so uneducated when it comes to anxiety, depression, and insomnia, because after listening to a lot of your teachings and a lot of the other testimonials that I've seen, they all kind of go hand in hand, and it's kind of the same concept, right? So, there goes the, fast forward to now. um Again, medication, same thing happened. I was not getting any better. I tried so many others, and um then March 2020 happens, and that's COVID, right? So COVID time happens. By that time, we were in a home. We got our home about 2-3 months later after we moved in. I mean, after we moved to Houston, we got a house pretty quickly, 2-3 months, and so we got the house about January 2020, and then 2 months later, COVID happened. So we were in our house already. So during that time, I was on one medication, which was clonazepam, because they had given me that for anxiety, because the feeling that it would let me to cry, let me to, like, cry it all the time, and um so they try to control my anxiety now with just that. And um I would take it. I remember I would take it, and it did calm me. I felt like normal. I felt like, oh, okay, this is it. This is. And then so COVID hit, and that's the medication I was on here and there. I did not take it every day. But by the time COVID came around, I felt better, you know, oddly enough, because for some people it was like the opposite, right? But I think it was because I was settled, and that there was no change anymore, and I'm not good with change. um and again, this is why I think how my anxiety and depression started, and sleep disruption, when I moved, because of the sudden change and the stress. And but now that we were settled, and I was trying to, like, decorate my home, and I was busy with that, and I started getting excited. And again, everything felt settled. There was no change besides COVID, right? But um I was okay for about 6 months, and again, and I was the clonazepam I was taking, it was like maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe, if that, because again, I think the settling part, the no change, the being in control was down, right? I didn't Everything, we were settled. We were okay. This is where we're gonna live, and it's of course I didn't know how long COVID was going to take. Nobody knew, right? But okay, I was enjoying my son being home. At that time, we had already enrolled him in a school, and he was, my poor son. He's he goes to school like at that time he was like 2 months, and then we pulled him out, right, in DC, and then he went to school 2 months, and then COVID hit, and then back home. So his first couple of years in school, he really was home, you know, but so he was home doing homeschool, first his end of kindergarten and first grade, he was there. So I was kind of enjoying that, and it was very exciting time. Then it started to be exciting. So I started to get off of the clonazepam, and again, I did not take it because I was so scared of that drug, because I looked up all um the side effects, and it was such a drug that you can get so dependent on, and I, it kind of freaked me out. And I never heard of these. All these drugs were new to me. They were just so new to me. All of these antidepressants, and so I knew I was always very careful because I was one of those people that I don't even take a Tylenol really, and it's just I don't really like medication. Just if I have a headache, well, I don't go and grab a Advil or I just, oh well, right? But and here I am, I started taking all these medications, and finally it was like, okay, I'm down to this one, and this one's kind of helping me, and I was again settled, everything was good, and that was that. So 6 months later, this is like August of 2020, and I remember months. You might think like, well, how well, and again, a lot of testimonials that I have heard, they remember these months because these were significant um, times of people's lives, so it was towards the end of August 2020. Everything was fine. Again, we were home, right? My husband was still working out because his job did not stop, right? He wasn't working from home, or he had to go in. Um, he was one of the few that still went in, so um, I was good. I was off of it. I did not take clonazepam anymore. I was like, I thought everything was just done, right? Everything's behind me, right? So then August 2020, we're there now. I started during that month. I remember it was just I started to be like very obsessed with COVID. With like, okay, how long is this gonna last now? It just this is taking a while. And then it was like Googling all the time, like how many people have passed from the world, and there was like a website, I don't remember the name of it, but you could go and see how many people from each country were passing, how many were in the hospital, and there I was every day. It was like an obsession that, and I would call my sister's FaceTime, and hey, oh my God, there's so many more. And it was just, the numbers were rising. So every day we were talking about COVID, and I think that started, becoming an obsession for me with looking up and oh my gosh. And, so I started to, again, freak myself out. Right. And again, going back to this day, right? August 2020, towards the end, I had a big panic attack. We were eating dinner, and it was like, and I think it was because of all the content that I was reading that was so negative, and there goes to me. I thought, this is back. I said, oh my God, my anxiety, depression is back. And I hadn't had a panic attack since, a while. So, and that is where I think now that's where the insomnia came in. Not, it wasn't just sleep disruption now, it was insomnia. So it was anxiety, depression, and then add on now insomnia, right? So it's like, okay, and again, I had never had any all-nighters, like, and that's what happened. I had a panic attack, and then that feeling was like, no, this can't be back. I was doing good. So I was doing so good for so long. How is this back? Um, and then again, down again, the rabbit hole of going to see doctors again. And now I changed psychiatrists. I didn't go back to the same one. I said, let me try another one. And now one that's in my area, and it's a little closer, but everything was telehealth, at that time. So, and they gave me Ambien, to sleep, and they said, well, they said, your depression and anxiety is causing the insomnia, right? So we need to fix that, and again, antidepressants come back to the picture, right? So I said, okay. And again, to me at that moment, you know, I thought, well, let's give it another try. Because again, you are so confident in these doctors, right? You just trust them. And I said, okay, let's try them again. So they put me back on medication, an antidepressant, right? And then on this time I was also on Ambien at night, to sleep, and it did work for me. I slept for that first week or two, and um she told my psychiatrist told me, we need to get you sleeping, right? We need to get you sleeping. And so, she gave me a 2 week supply. I believe it was 2 weeks. It was a very short time because she didn't really want to prescribe it longer. She said a week or two, and I believe it was 2 weeks. And then we will, she said, while the antidepressant starts kicking in or helping, that's what she said. So and they're like, okay, and yes, the Ambien did help me for those nights. Um, and for some reason, antidepressants, they just did not do anything for me. They make me worse, and here I go again, right? And they were just worsening my anxiety and depression. And I mean, I was sleeping because of the Ambien at that time, right? But I was not feeling any better. And again, it's just like it was like a repeat of the first time, where it was like one after another. Let's try this one out. This drug is old. Let's try this new one. And it was like Celexa, Lexapro. Those are like the newer ones, Um, well, Butrin was one. Zoloft again. Just so many of them. Trinexta. I don't know. So many. And okay, this is you need some more time with it. And it was just, again, same thing like the first time, right? And again, I hadn't put two and two together, like, because and during this time, my psychiatrist would tell me there has to be something that helps. Something has to help. One of these drugs is going to be the one. Like, everyone has their antidepressant, their drug that is going to help you. Okay, so I was, I guess, always with that hope. It's like, okay, this is not working, and let me try another one. Let me try another one. Let me try. So, um, after the Ambien, right, 2 weeks after this, again, I wasn't sleeping, and she did not want to give me any more Ambien. So she gave me again clonazepam, right? Because I told her, well, that helped me with my anxiety before, and I hadn't taken it in so long. Okay, let's do that. That's gonna be the one, and take it at night, and you'll be able to sleep. And I mean, for the most part, I did, and I had never taken it at night to sleep. For that, it was for anxiety, during the day. But again, I did not take it much because I was so scared. I was so scared, especially of that drug. Um, so she's like, okay, take it at night, take it at night. And I guess she was more willing to give me that one, or for me to take that in every night if I needed it, than the Ambien, uh, you know. So I trusted her, and that's what I did. Every night it was that. And I don't know, it went on maybe a couple of weeks. And I just said, something in me was like, no, I don't want to be taking this. Like, I was always scared of this drug, but this was the only thing that was kind of giving me some relief. And my doctor was prescribing it, right? So then I got off, right? I got off of that medication on my own. Like, I wasn't on it much, but I wasn't sleeping again, right? It's like, then, with that sleeping, I thought, during the day was just so hard for me because I felt like just so horrible, and I couldn't be there for my son. I was just always laying around on the couch and, just trying to get some sleep, anything, just forcing myself to sleep on the couch. And, my husband will call and check on me when he was at work, and well, to try to take a nap, and they're, yeah, I'm trying, and just lay down. And it's just, oh my gosh. And it was just, of course, and we were stuck at home, right? And I didn't get to make any friends there, which, that didn't help. I was just miserable. Um, and this happened for months. This went on for months, where I was kind of like, to me, I call it like survival mode, right? I was just surviving,
Yeah.
survival mode. I don't know how else to explain it, right? But and it got so bad one time that, and again, I'm only sharing this because I would like to help people, right? And I think everyone that shares their stories, it's for that purpose, right? um it got so bad, the insomnia, that and anxiety, all three, right? Depression, anxiety, I had all three, right? And it got so bad that I didn't know what to do. So I was telling my husband, like, we need to do something. It's just like, just not well. Like, it's just, I guess I got desperate, right? And I told him, let's go to, I need some other help. I don't know. Like, it's just horrible. And it felt like torturous to me. So I suggested to I need to go into a mental hospital. Oh my goodness. And we were okay, well, maybe that would help. We again Googled there in Houston, what was the best one. And we were willing to try anything. We're willing to try anything, go anywhere. If they told us go to Australia, fly to Australia, and you're going to be cured, we would have gone. My husband was willing to do anything, and we're willing to pay anything, honestly, right? So there I go, right into a mental hospital, and for insomnia and anxiety and depression. And when I got there, they're like, okay, we're gonna help you. And and I was so like, okay, this is a place. I thought, this is to me, that was like, you can't get any more help than this, right? So I was in there, and I remember being up at night, first night. I remember being there, and you know, they give people meds. Everyone got meds right in there, and you kind of did like your nighttime med routine or whatever before you go to sleep. You have like, you get in a line, and they give you and they have put me on some different medication now. Um, uh, some kind of Benadryl type. I don't remember the name, but and of course they gave me that thinking, oh, this is the answer. I'm gonna sleep tonight. Well, no, I did not at all. So, I there I was and I was sharing a room with a young lady, but they had us, roommates. So, and she was there for something else. I don't know. I really didn't speak to her, but I remember that night that I thought I was just gonna knock out, and just, this go to sleep. But no, I was just like wide awake again. And I was laying there, and I said, oh my God. So I remember I just got up, I started walking the whole place. And I remember telling the nighttime nurses there, you please give me something, just please. Like, I slept in days and weeks, and they were just looking at me like, what's wrong with you, And it felt so horrible, because you just feel like, you're in this place, and you feel so bad for the people that are in there, and it doesn't compare with what I was going through, because there was a very severe mental issues, right, that some of these people had. And I just like, what am I doing in here? I thought to myself, how did I end up here? Like, all these reflections and things that you do, and you're just like, you know and again, I was talking to the nurses there, and I said, please, I was begging them, literally begging them, please give me something. I haven't slept, and please. And they were just looking at me like, just so like weird, right? Like, what is this woman talking about, right? So, um, and I just said, please give me some clonazepam. Do you have clonazepam? It probably felt like I was a druggie or something, but no, because I knew that worked before, right? and or Ambien, or and they're like, nope, it has to be signed off by the doctor, and the doctor's not here because the doctors don't work at night there, right? So you have to wait till the morning, and I'm like, oh, I can't, and they were like, please just give it to no. So there I was, a whole night, no sleep. And you know then the next day, the doctor wasn't there. Oh, so it was like, oh my god, another night, and the same thing happened, another night of no sleep. And then I waited until Monday, because this was like a weekend, I believe. I don't think they were working that. I don't think doctors work the weekend during these at these places, right? So I had to wait and just survive, right, in the mental hospital. And so, they once the doctor returned on Monday, they gave me clonazepam, and that night I did sleep, and so I was there for, in total, it was like about a week. It was at about a week, and then I thought I was okay towards the end because I was sleeping with clonazepam, right? And I got myself out because it was voluntary, right? So I could get myself out. So I got myself out. Um, and when I got home, she didn't give me refills or anything like that. And again, I didn't want to be on but I knew that it helped me, to get some kind of relief. I guess I just saw it that way. Okay, this is a relief. So when I really, when I go a couple of days already, okay, I know I'm going to sleep the second, third day or whatever, right? So when, went back home, and it's discontinued this insomnia, by this time it was, I don't know. I mean, so many months passed, so, basically this went on for about a year, and the clonazepam, I had to go to different psychiatrists so they can. So what I did was I went back to the old one of my old psychiatrists that gave me, and I was already on record there that it was. So I said, oh, that's the thing that helped me, and that's what kind of, again, gave me relief. But I didn't take it every night because, again, I was so scared. I was so scared. I said, well, um, because I know I wanted, I just knew something tells you like this is not the answer. I don't know. At least for me, it was like, this is medication for the rest of my life. Like, is this what I have to do to sleep again? You know?
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's such a power story. I'm so engaged in it. But I have this other call at like 10 a.m. our time. So
sure.
let us, but you told the story in a very powerful way. We know where you're at. Like clonazepam works here or there. You're kind of scrabbling to get clonazepam. You're very confused. You have kind of no understanding yet. But take us to like what kind of the turning point. When did it start thinking
Okay.
for you?
Yes. So the turning point. All right. So then, after the year, my husband got an offer to move to where I'm from, right? So this is where I'm currently at now. And I said, yes, let's go. Yes, I was just ready to get out of there, I said, and I thought at that moment it was because of, I don't know, a curse with Houston, because I had such a bad, horrible experience here, at that time there. And I said, yes, I'm all for it. Let's go, right? So we moved. Now this time it was less stressful because the company paid for everything, and they came to move all my home, and it was just, I didn't have to do anything. So we moved over there. So now the turning point, right? Okay, so we get here to another part of Texas, again, where I'm from, and the insomnia continued, right? So I started Googling, like, insomnia, or I think it was on Reddit. It was Reddit that I was looking, like, has anyone had insomnia? What do you do? And, and some of them were very scary, like, and I was like, oh my God, some people are like, they share their experiences. Like, I've had insomnia for 15 years, 20, and I'm like, oh my God, like, how can people survive? Like, it's like, it was just like horrible to read. Some of these were just like, well, you get used to it, and things like that. I said, no, to me, I'm like, I can't get used to this. So then, during one of those times that I was Googling, I in Reddit, someone mentioned you. Someone put their testimony there, and they said that, you're the person. And I said, oh, okay. So I went on YouTube and I put your name there, and I was hearing, I think one of the first ones that I heard, the testimonials were Christians, I believe. Yeah, Christian. And, I was like, oh, wow. Like I remember hearing Christians, and then I heard Sasha Stevens, which was such a, like, she is just amazing, right? And several others. I probably binge watched like almost all of them at that time, that you had out there. And I was in the beginning, it did not make sense to me, right? But I knew something was there, like something, and I remember looking at them and I'm like, wow, this looks like, I don't know, just different. It was different, something that you never heard of. And I said, something told me just to keep watching, and I scheduled a phone call with Christian, and we spoke. It was a one-on-one, coaching, and he was talking to me. And I remember taking notes. I still have the notes here that he was telling me. And I hyperarousal, and then I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know what hyperarousal was. What? Like, I never heard that word. So and I was just writing, and then he was telling me, go and watch Daniel's befriending wakefulness video, and this other video I recommend. And I'm like, okay. So I got off the phone with him, and I I didn't understand. I still didn't, it didn't click, or whatever. But I just kept watching, and finally, something clicked, right? And I was just like, okay, befriending, because I think I got to a point where you just exhausted all of your other things. And I also went when I got to where I am now, I went down another, looking for answers. And I went to a hormone doctor, thinking it was like premenopause or something, and I convinced myself, and I convinced my whole family I'm going through because of the insomnia and because the anxiety. And I went down that route too, which, I don't want to I know we're short on time, but that was another route there. And medications, they put me on progesterone and all these different meds again, right? For hormones, and did nothing. So, I started to listen to yours, and finally it was like an aha moment, right? Is what you guys call it, or what I've heard it called aha. Like, I think it was just I exhausted all of my other options, and it was like, what else is there? What else? Like, I'm gonna try. Just, what I think you get to the point where you're, like I said, you exhaust all your other options, and nothing is helping and changing, or and you get tired of it. It's kind of like I just got so tired of the suffering, and so I kind of let go, which is right what you guys teach, the NATO right
Yeah,
approach.
it's always the answer. And all right, we are back. What actually happened is that last week, Priscilla, I had to go, so we left the interview a little early, and we didn't really get to fully talk about kind of the turning point and how things started to change for you. So I'm glad we could find time today to do sort of the second part here. So really just take us. Actually, why don't you tell us about, like, after this multi-year of struggle, when did you first come across like our teachings?
um I came across through Reddit, and I think I had mentioned that, in the first part. But just Googling, because you're just trying to find answers. And I went again through the whole route of doctors, psychiatrists, just everything. I went the hormone route as well, because I was like, this must be it, I don't know, I'm at that age, maybe, it's just like I was trying to find answers, right? So I went all the routes that I think most of us go to or go through, right? And that was which with every I know this is a short time that we have and we can't go, I wish we could have more like time, but because this is years, this is years of going through this journey, right? So again, I went the hormone route. I went to a lady that um I don't know what the name of that doctor is called, they read the eye supposedly, like
Oh yeah, like the EMDR, is that it?
yeah, I think that's what they're called. And you just anything, and of course it's just supplements and this and that, and you try everything, right? So nothing was working, and and then I went on just again Googling, found you on Reddit, someone out there, thank God for them. They put you out there and said, he's a guy for insomnia, and I'm not sure who it was, but I found you through there, and then I went on YouTube. I saw some of your videos. I was just looking at all the testimonials on there, the testimonies that I would just binge watch. And at first, it did not make sense to me, but just something told me to just like it was different. It was something that I've never heard before, and I said, I didn't understand it. Like it just didn't click, but something was there that made me continue to watch you, right, and continue to follow your channel. And then I signed up with a one-on-one with Christian. I just randomly just clicked whoever was available, at that day. It was like, let's see who's available today, and it was Christian. And we spoke that I think he's in Texas as well. So, the time was perfect. He was available, and I was like, I want something now, and so we spoke, and he again was talking about the hyperarousal and this and that, and I remember just taking notes, and it again it still didn't click, and I had heard his testimony with you, and a lot of things did relate to me, like the desperateness, and all the things that he did, it was like, oh my God, he like flew out to see a shaman. I was like, so I'm like, okay, you're like, okay, this is not, because you always think you are just unique, right? And no one has this, and so anyway, so I made a call with him, wrote down notes, and just that was that, and it was like, okay, it was just, but then it still, again, it just I did not understand it because I never had heard the word hyperarousal, right? So, so anyway, I kept watching, more of your content. Um, at that time, I leaned on my faith a lot, right? And as I've heard so many testimonies that, us that, we are either whatever religion we are, right? I leaned on my faith, since I'm a Christian, and that's what we're taught to do, right? And in these tough times, I think I really really leaned on God, um, during this time, because it was becoming very dark for me, and it was a territory that I was like, hadn't been that dark ever, and never thought I would ever be in a such a dark situation, and it's so, it was during this time that I was closer to God. For me, I would go to church more. I would ask for prayer, from my congregation, and they would pray for me, uh and I put it, in God's hands, um and during this time I stopped working, I just everything just stopped for me, I couldn't work. I thought like I needed to stop working and have the time to like fix my sleep, like fix my sleep. That's what I thought. I'm going to just focus on that, because the sleep was causing me to have, so much anxiety and so much depression, and then it just turned very, very, very scary and very dark for me, and I stopped working. I took a leave of absence, during that time, I had to speak to my supervisor. I told her, little, I didn't tell her everything because, I just didn't want to, just, I don't know, I kind of did feel embarrassed, but I didn't tell her everything. I just told her I was going through some personal issues and things like that. But so I thought, okay, I'll have this free time to like work on my sleep, right? Just work on my sleep um and then, I had so much time on my hands now that I continue to watch your content. Like I was just watching like all the time, and it was like I ordered your two books as well, the Set It and Forget It and the NATO, which I finished Set It and Forget It, but I haven't got to the NATO, which I still want to read, but now thank God I'm so much better, right? So, which Set It and Forget It, it's such a great book. It's such an easy read, and it's just, it's wonderful. So I ordered those books right away, and I was reading, I was watching your content. And then I signed up for the bedtime app. So I signed up for the bedtime app, and I had Coach Ali as my coach. And she was great. I was with her for about 2 months, where and the bot, the Ellie bot. Oh, I love that because I was using that every single day, and it kind of eased me, like because you have access to like Coach Ali, but not like right, it's not like it's like the next day usually, and it's like, we're over here. Um, I'm over here very impatient, like, okay, what do I need to do, and so Ellie bot was great, so
Did you find that most of the time the answers from Ellie made sense? Ellie
oh
bot?
yeah, yeah, it actually did. I was like, wow, and it eased me because that was like the only person I could kind of ask, and they would, understand, or even though it was a bot, right? But it kind of at least for me, it eased me at the moment, like, okay, this is normal, or whatever I would ask, I'm like, okay. So it kind of helped me to like start to build that confidence, so so and with Coach Ali, I mean, I was just once she introduced herself, I was like, poor Ali, because I like bombarded her with all these questions and all of like paragraphs, and I'm like, oh my God, she's probably thinking like, slow down, lady, But I was like, she she had her story, and this is what I love about the coaches, is that they've all gone through this struggle, and they're so relatable, and just they have the perfect answer, at least to me, that's how it seemed, right? So and let's see, so I wrote some notes here, so I'm trying to stay on topic so I'm not going off. So um so yeah, the bedtime app was great. And then like that is kind of when it started to make sense, when I signed up for the bedtime app. I started to like put two and two together, and I really understand it. Um, and I was just like, I don't know, it just kind of something like just clicked, like, okay, this is it, like it's hard to describe, right? When you have that moment, like I knew something was there, but I didn't understand it. That's why I just continued, and I didn't look anymore. I didn't look for answers, because I guess I take it from, as a Christian, I take it as a part of God, that He led me to you, because I can just imagine people that maybe see your content and they don't understand and they leave. They're looking for answers, and I'm sure that happens. And why did it make sense to me? So I took that as, a part of God, helping me through, like, this is the answer. um so it was then when I started to understand it. And then Coach Ali, um she would answer my questions in the morning. I think she's in another country, right?
Yeah, she's in Europe. She's in Slovakia, actually.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so when I would wake up, well, not wake up, but get out of bed, I had all the answers, because I would message her, and then in the early morning it's like there. So and it was like, I would say like the first 2 weeks, was I was progressing a bit, I guess you can say, like where I started to let go, and again, it was a perfect timing. Like I leaned on my faith a lot, and then also, the concepts that you teach, kind of hand in hand. So, and it's kind of the same, if you think about it, it's like what they teach us as Christians, right, is to let go and give it give your worries and everything to God, right, and leave it in His hands, right, and
And
it's
surrender.
yeah, exactly, surrender, and at be I've been a Christian all my life, really, but I never really understood it because I never had to apply it, at least not in this sense, or in this magnitude for me, because up to that moment, this was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through, because like I said, there were moments where it was getting very dark, and it just like, it's just it's lonely, it's a lonely place. It's just no one understands, and so it was that time where I guess it was my time, to understand, and then within like 2 weeks, I was starting to see some progress, just surrendering. Like, this is it. This is what it is. Like, you have to let it be and give it to God and really just trust, right? Trust in God and trust in the process. And I'm a very controlling person, and I think most of us that are on here that we have the same characteristics as far as our personalities, like personality, right, of type A, is what they call us, and we're very like structured and want to fix, so in control. That was my hardest thing that I had to do, is kind of let go of that control, right? Um, so slowly I started to let go, and I started to see that I was, sleeping better. It wasn't great in the beginning, but it was choppy sleep in the beginning, where I would wake up every a couple of hours, and then it was like, okay, who cares, right? I wake up, okay, whatever, just stay there, and I would just lay down, and I'm like, okay, I'm resting, and then I would eventually go back to sleep. Sometimes it would take me a long time, but and again, it helped that I wasn't working. I don't know if it helped or it didn't help, I guess. You know um and this went on for a good, I would say, like a good maybe another 2 weeks or so. And I was seeing that the progress, the choppy sleep, but I was getting some sleep because it was from like very little sleep, you know, to choppy sleep. And then it started to get better, like just slowly. And then it was like 5 hours, straight, and it was like, okay, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to work. I'm going to see if I can go back to work. It was in the middle of the semester. Um, and so I teach college. So it was right in the middle of the semester. So I said, let me reach out to my supervisor and see, right, if I can come back. Maybe there is a flex classes. Sometimes they offer flex classes, where they're shorter classes. And so yeah, it was like, yeah, we're gonna start one up, and I wasn't like recovered yet, or like, but I said I need to continue with my life. Like, it was just, it had taken over, and it really took over my life. Um, so yeah, she said, yeah, we have some classes coming up. We're gonna start opening them. Would you be interested? I said yes. So that's I went back to work. It was pretty quick, and I started to plan, my classes, and doing all that. Um, and I noticed, like, that helped me to get my mind off of things, and not be at home, and just I just started being busy, getting busy with work. And I've always loved teaching, so it worked out great for me. And I noticed, like, I would think about it less and less and less. And then with the sleep confidence that I was building, it gave me just so much hope, and I said, okay, I'm done with it. It was just like, that's it, this is it. I am done. I've seen progress, and I understand completely, the concept of what you teach. And that, and my faith, and everything just came together so wonderful. And I went back to work, and it was little by little. I don't even know when I started to, like, just sleep through the night. I don't know. It was just happened, and it was like, okay. And I think I'm just I'm so grateful, for your teachings, and um and I can't thank you enough. I really can't. I know that you do this for, you have all this free content that I think that even, without the bedtime app or anything, people can recover, just from watching your channels, your YouTube. It's just it's wonderful. So I mean, that's basically how the turning point happened for me. And it was like little by little. And then I remember telling Ali, because I had her while I was working. I still had her on the bedtime app. And I said, I'm working again. And she's like, wow, that's wonderful, and this and that. I was like, yes. And I told her, hopefully I'll be able to be, on on the one of the testimonies, to help someone. I kind of pay it forward, in some sense. Um, so yeah, so this is, I'm here now, and I'm just so grateful, so grateful for your teaching, so grateful for your content. Just it's just wonderful. So thank you.
Anytime, Priscilla. And yeah, I'm very, very thankful as well for you sharing this and helping the community. And and I just have my two last questions that I always ask guests, which is if you could travel back in time to when this all started, and tell yourself something, what would you tell yourself?
Oh my gosh. uh I would tell myself that that nothing lasts forever. I thought this was going to last forever, and this is what's gonna honestly do me in. At sometimes it was just, like I said, so dark sometimes, and this is what's gonna do me in. And I think if it wasn't for my faith, who knows, right? What would have happened? Because you get just so desperate, and trying to find, and you look for answers everywhere, and the answer is just, it's there in front of you, and it seems so simple because it is, but then it's also hard, like, in a sense, to apply and to let go, right? So I would say, and anyone out there, right, that this too shall pass. This shall pass. This is not forever. And have faith, have confidence, right, in whatever you believe. I think that really helped me a lot. Just praying, all of that. And trust the process, right? Trust the process, and it doesn't go away or get better or whatever in fast or right away. It takes time. It does take time. Um, but you will get there. You will.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
That's super nice. And finally, have you seen that what you learned going through this struggle has helped in other areas of life?
Oh, yes, definitely. In all my areas of life, like, I'm just so much more grateful. Like, when I wake up and I see the sun, it's like, thank you, thank you, thank you, God, for another day. Where before, it was just get up and go, rushing all the time, because that's how we live our lives, especially with if you have children, right? And work, and you're just go, go, go. I'm just so much grateful, for everything, for everything, for just sleeping well, I guess, just being able to, you take it for granted when that goes away, and I think it has helped me in other parts of my life as far as like other anxieties that I've dealt with, because again, I realized that the concept is the same. Like it really is the same for everything, for all of mental illness, and I think that's something that stuck out to me, especially when I heard your interview with Sasha, right? Sasha Stevens. And I remember when I was going through it at the very like, you know, lowest point, right? I would go and hear her interview again and again. And I'm like, wow, that just like, cause she said something so like mental illness is that, it's the same concept that you teach and that she teaches as well. And you say, wow, but how, right? Like what, like, so I think once that understanding happens, you see how that can be applied to any part of your life, any anxiety, any depression, anything we call mental illness is what she said, right? So I think this has helped me in really all of my life. So
Yeah, wow, amazing. I think that's the kind of the perfect place to conclude, because that's exactly what I wish for everyone who finds us, that not only will it help them leave the sleep struggle, but see that it helps with everything we call mental illness, and even kind of
yeah,
all everyday worries. And it's all the same principles apply to all of them. So I will just say, yeah, thanks so much, Priscilla, for being a guest, and we'll be in touch.
thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hi there, it's me, Coach Daniel, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone out there who is spreading the word. You know what I've noticed in the last 6 months to 12 months or something like that is when I ask people how they found us, one of the most common answers is somebody told me on Reddit. And every time I hear that, it really warms my heart. It makes me so glad to hear that someone went out of their way to tell a fellow human about the Sleep Coach School. If you're one of those people out there spreading the word, I want to say thank you so, so much. And if you're not, then maybe you'll see an invitation in doing so, or you can simply hit the like button or hit the subscribe button. That alone helps so, so much in getting our teachings out there and helping more and more people in the world. That was all I want to say here. Thanks so much for tuning in, and can't wait to see you again.